I wanted to begin with an interesting thought that actually relates to myself personally. In Jewish tradition, today is what's called Rosh Chodesh, which means it's the new month. Now, I don't know if you're familiar, different religions have different ways of calculating the years. We live in a society that calculates the years through what we call the solar calendar. And so we have a pretty fixed 365 and a quarter day cycle, which we move through, and it's pretty predictable every season and all of that. There are certain societies, such as I believe in the Islamic religion, as well as the Jewish community, where you have at least a lunar component to how the calendar is calculated. The Jewish calendar, it's sort of balanced between the two. So that Passover, for example, always has to be in the spring. It says that explicitly in the Bible, that it's going to be a festival of the spring. And so the way that that is done is that you calculate on a lunar calendar, but every 19 years you add 7 extra months. And actually this year we have an extra month in the calendar so that it balances out. I'll leave the rest of it for another time. What's relevant is that the new month comes every 30 days approximately. It's really on a 29.5-day schedule. Sometimes you have 1 day, sometimes you have 2. So today is the beginning of a new month. If you went outside and it was dark out, you'd barely see anything at all. Maybe you'd see a slight sliver of the moon. And actually, this is a day of celebration within our religion. Not quite on the same level as Hanukkah and Passover and all that good stuff, but it's something. And why is it celebrated at all? And I saw a beautiful thought, and I wanted to share this with you. Because the moon, unlike the sun, waxes and wanes. At the beginning of the month, the moon is very small. It gets larger. If you're out in the middle of the month, it's full. It's quite bright in many cases. It's beautiful, and it can often be a source of light for all of us. And then towards the end of the month, it begins to recede in size until eventually it disappears, and then it starts again. And so it's an ongoing cycle of waxing and waning, getting bigger, getting smaller. And that really is a symbol for life in many ways. Because we have challenges. We have things that don't go quite right. We have things that challenge us to really know who we are and the direction and not lose sight of where we're going. And we have to realize that things go down, but then they come back up again. And I thought that that was a good metaphor as well for leadership. Because as we talked about already, but we're certainly going to discuss further, leadership is not a unilateral process. You'll have better days and you'll have lesser days. You'll have days where you make a decision and you say to yourself, oh my goodness, what did I do? And you'll have days where you feel like everyone's about to pick you up and ride you on their shoulders all around the office because you did such a fantastic job, and probably a lot of days in between. And so if you know where you're going, if you have a vision of what great leadership is all about, if you understand that if you have your core values in place, and that the people around you want to support you, they want your leadership, they want your direction, but they want to be part of the process. And they want to know that they have a voice as well. If you got that part figured out, and you kind of have a sense of whose buttons to push and in what way and how and when, all of those things are going to make a difference. And so that's something to think about as we talk about the new moon, as we talk about life in general, whatever cycle you wish to use in nature and other forces and other spiritual entities, whatever works for you, that's not so much the point. The point is that learning about it is great. The key is ultimately going to be application and being able to refer back to your notes. And as you're thinking about it, I encourage you always, whether it's today or in future sessions, think about practical applications. Think about maybe for now, you on the other side of leadership. Thinking about the person who's leading you, or people who maybe you have to report to. Think about, not to ask you to microanalyze now everything that they're doing moving forward, but it gives you a perspective. And how perhaps would I look at it a little bit differently and approach things from a different perspective in order to really meet the needs of the people that support me.